Hello my friends, and welcome back to Three-Legged Dog Yoga. If you are new here, my name is Lindsay, this is Chewy, and today's class is a full body stretch. So it's not super intense or anything, it's suitable for all levels, you won't need any props, but if you do use those in your regular practice, I encourage you to grab those. But other than that, let's get right to it. Let's begin today at the top of our mats. So we'll sit down on the feet, tops of the feet on the floor, and we'll just sit up nice and tall. Take a big inhale, roll the shoulders back and down, and exhale. Starting to slow down the breathing. I'm just starting to arrive in your practice here today. Maybe closing the eyes softly, or keeping a soft gaze ahead of you. And then we'll gently drop the hands behind us, either up on fingertips or coming down to the palms, just bringing a stretch into the front of the legs. So we should be able to feel this from the top of the feet all the way up through the knees and a bit through the quads. If there's any pain at all, just come up a little bit higher or don't lean back at all. We don't want to feel any pain, especially in the knees here. But wherever you are, just relaxing into this for a few breaths. Giving a nice stretch to the tops of the feet, which we tend to forget about quite a bit in our day. Just giving them a chance to be in the opposite position. And then slowly walking the hands back up. We'll untuck the toes and switch up the position of the feet. So sitting nice and tall, once again, I'll take a big inhale, roll the shoulders up and back. Exhale, release. And then again, I invite you to just start leaning back a little bit here. So this one might start feeling a little bit more intense, a bit quicker. And again, you can stay up on the fingertips or come down to the palms. Wherever we are, we want to make sure that chest is staying nice and bright. We're not coming into a back bend, but we're just not collapsing into those shoulders. So just keeping a nice tall spine here. Chin stays gently tucked. And again, checking in, making sure there isn't any pain. Nice, comfortable stretch for the front of the body. And then slowly coming back up through center. We'll just untuck the toes and come down to a seated position. So just keeping whichever leg you prefer in front. And we'll sit up nice and tall. Roll the shoulders up and back, just setting up here. Taking one big breath. And then on the next inhale, let's raise the arms up. Exhale, we'll twist over to our right side and just let the hands fall where they may. Just keeping this twist nice and small for now. And if you want to gaze over that right shoulder, then the head and neck come last. So we lead with the shoulder. Nice gentle twist, not going too far into this. And then we keep our head and neck nice and relaxed. Looking over that right shoulder. And then as we exhale, we come back through center. Let's switch the legs. So whichever leg was in the front, just tuck it behind. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, twist to the opposite side. So again, leading with that shoulder, but keeping it nice and gentle. So the spine stays nice and tall. Head and neck come last. And keeping that breath nice and bright here. And then we release, come back through center. Awesome, so we're gonna come through cow face pose. So it depends on where you're at and how open your body is. I'll give you a couple of options though. So you can come into fire log pose where our shins are parallel on top of each other, more or less. You can always make it a bit less intense by widening the stance. Or alternatively, you can come into the full expression of the pose where our knees are stacked on top of one another. So we'll start with the right knee on top of the left. If you're doing the opposite, it doesn't particularly matter. And then we'll sit up nice and tall here. Once again, keeping that crown of the head stays lifted, the spine is nice and long. Just feeling this in the hips here. Nice stretch to those outer hips. And breathing for a few breaths. And then we'll release, just lean back. We'll switch up the legs, however you want to do it. And come in to the expression on the opposite side. So once again, rolling those shoulders up and back, really drawing that left sit bone down to the floor. Just finding a spot to gaze in front of you. Trying to keep a focus here. Keeping that breath nice and bright. And then we'll release that side. Bring bring the soles of the feet to the floor. And we'll just start walking the hands behind us. So I'll give you a few options here as well. If this feels like it's enough, you can stay here. We're going to bring a stretch into the shoulders. So alternatively, you can come down to the forearms, and if you'd like to stretch the feet out, the legs out in front, you're welcome to do so. So one thing I want you to be careful for here is that we're not collapsing into those shoulders. So if we're keeping the forearms down, keeping a nice bright chest, almost like a mini back bend here. Keeping the chin tucked. We don't want to drop it back. And just staying here, feeling that nice stretch into the shoulders. This one almost feels too good to get out of. And then as we inhale, let's just press up through the hands if we were on the forearms, and we will come all the way through to tabletop. And just find your way all the way around here. Awesome. So toes are tucked, our hips are over our knees, shoulders over wrists, and we'll start moving through some cat-cow here. So on the inhale, drop the belly, arch the back, look up. Exhale, round it all out. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale, round. And we'll work through 2 more of these on your own time here. And then finding your way back through neutral. Neutral spine. Let's just flip our palms so our fingers face towards our knee. Just bring a little bit of stretch into the wrists here. If this is really intense, you can always shorten the distance between the knees, or if you'd like to add on, you can make it a little bit further. Whatever feels good in the body today, stay there. You can also add on by just leaning back a little bit as well. That also works. And then we'll just shoot back onto our heels for a second and roll out those wrists one way and then the other way. And then coming back to our tabletop, we'll reach our hands in front of us, tuck the toes, and we'll send the hips up for our downward facing dog. Starting to pedal out those feet, really working through the pedals, feeling that stretch all the way down to the calf muscle, right out through the heel as we pedal here. Nice and slowly. We'll do a few more like that. And then we'll find some stillness in our downward facing dog. So not worrying if your heels touch the floor. We want to make sure that our shoulders are pressing away from our ears. Knees can stay gently bent and our hips are reaching up towards the sky. The heels will get there when they get there. Just checking in with those knees, making sure they're not collapsing together, keeping a slight external rotation. And then we'll bring our gaze between our hands, step up with the right foot, drop that left knee, Untuck the toes, wait for the inhale, and we come all the way up to our low lunge. If the back knee feels any pain, you can always flip the mat over for a little bit added protection. And then we'll sink nice and deep into those hips, keeping that integrity in the core, reaching up with those fingertips. And then on the inhale, send the hips back, pull those toes up towards the shin, and we'll reach forward for our half splits. So checking in with the right hip, let's just grab our thumb of our right hand, just press it into that right hip, and just make sure it's not creeping forward. And we're reaching forward with the chest here. And let's shift our weight forward, plant that foot. You can tuck the back toe again, and we'll bring the hands to the inside. Maybe heel toe that foot a little bit wider, coming into our lizard pose. So you can untuck the toe here, or if you'd like to add a little bit of fire to your practice, you can raise that back knee, pressing through those shoulders. And we're keeping a nice long spine. So if your knee's up, you can feel nice long spine from that heel all the way out through the crown of the head. And if your knee is down, same thing, except for we're just switching it to the knee. So wherever you are, just staying there for another breath. And then exhale. We're gonna raise that knee if it was down, and then step it back to our downward facing dog. Finding some stillness here. Again, checking in with those knees, making sure they're not collapsing inwards. And then bring the gaze to the palms, step up with the left foot, drop that back knee, wait for the inhale, and then come up for a low lunge on the opposite side. Once again, really keeping that core nice and engaged, so we're not dumping into our core, we're keeping it pulled up, belly towards the spine, keeping it engaged, keeping our lower lumbar spine nice and protected. And then we'll exhale, shift the weight back, coming into our half splits on the opposite side. So once again, let's bring our left hand, just tuck that thumb into that left hip socket, just gently press it back, and we'll reach forward with our chest. And on the inhale, let's plant the foot, bring the left hand inside that left foot, heel toe the foot to the outside of the mat, and then whatever we did here, we'll do on the other side. So if you lifted the knee, let's lift the knee. And we'll stay here, reaching out with that crown of the head, keeping that nice long line. Feeling this nice big stretch in the body here. And then if the knee is down, we'll raise the knee, tuck the toe, and we'll step back with that left foot, coming back through our downward facing dog. Keeping a nice generous bend in those knees. And then working on straightening them. And we'll just shift our weight forward. We'll come down all the way through seated. And we'll shift up to the top of our mat. Feet stay planted, and we'll just gently roll down here. Setting up for bridge posture. So heels of the feet come up towards the sit bones. Maybe you can touch the heels with the fingers. It's a good distance. And then we want to keep the the knees nice and square here. We're going to have an add-on of a chihuahua, I suppose. And then we'll start by rolling, lift the hips just really gently. We'll start by rolling onto our shoulders. So we want to take the nape of the neck, the back of the neck off of the floor. And then as we inhale, we'll send those hips up nice and high. Let's see if you can hold up here. And then squeeze those knees together. I'm going to stay for 4 breaths here. Nice, big, deep breaths. Chewy is not bothered by this. And last deep breath here. And then exhale. Release down. Let the shoulders relax. And we'll just heel toe the feet out nice and wide, dropping the knees together. And then on the inhale, we'll draw our knees to our chest. And we'll just start shaking it out, We'll just start rocking it out side to side. So just giving that lower back a little massage, maybe drawing small circles on the ceiling with the knees, going one way, and then going the other way. And if it feels good, you can make those circles as big as you want. And then finding some stillness, maybe drawing the chin up towards the chest. And then we'll start rocking our way back up through seated. So just taking a couple of rocks, coming all the way up through seated. And just finding your way to cross-legged here. Awesome. Sitting up nice and tall. Let's roll the shoulders up and back. Close the eyes. Exhale all the air out, and we'll finish with a big sigh. So big inhale. Exhale, sigh it all out. Gently opening the eyes. That is all for today's practice. I hope you had a nice time, and we'll see you next time.